What's up everyone, I'm Bill, I'm with Calimoto TV, and today we are back in the garage and we are working on our MT09. Today we are doing a quick brake pad swap on the MT. We're getting ready for the 2019 season on the track, and Bogna, although she does commute on this bike, she wants a little bit better brake on this. So we've got some new Vortex brake pads that are going to help us out with a little bit more bite. We are getting ready to get to the track as well, so this will work well both on the street and on the track. So thanks to Vortex for providing us with great brakes. So today is going to be a quick, it's very easy to do brakes. A lot of people that they're a little bit deterred from it, they think it's a little bit too complicated. If you have an MT09, or this really applies to most of the R6 lineup, these calipers are the same. You should be able to change your brake pads in under 30 minutes. So I'm going to walk you guys step by step how to change your pads, and then we're also going to, at the end, swap out the fluid. We're going to put some new fluid in the reservoir, and we're going to bleed through the system. So the calipers, pretty easy to take off. You're just going to need a 12mm socket. If you have an ABS model, you are going to need a 4mm Allen wrench. So we've got that also. And you're going to need a set of needle nose pliers. That's it. Of course, you'll need some rags, some brake clean, some brushes to clean the calipers. But outside of that, it's pretty simple, pretty easy. I've also got, you know, with the collection, we do a lot of brake pads. So I do have a brake caliper spreader. This is super nice. You're going to enjoy this. This is going to push, obviously, the calipers back into the pistons back into the calipers. If you guys know, there's 4 calipers, and when you push one set in, the other set comes out, and it just becomes a pain in the butt. So this is nice because you can get it in there, and it actually spreads all the pistons back into the caliper, and then we'll flush all the fluid back up, so when we give it new fluid, it will drain out very nice and easy. So let's get started real quick. Like I said, the calipers come off with 2 bolts. They're 2 12mm bolts. We're also going to take off the ABS pin just because we want to make sure we don't break that pin. If you have an ABS system, make sure you take this sensor off, because if you don't, you can break it and the sensor runs all the way back up through here, and it just becomes a pain in the butt. So precaution, let's just take it off, right? So let's get some gloves on real quick so we don't get too dirty here. So first thing we're going to do is going to go ahead and get over here and take off the sensor. So it's just the 1 bolt for the sensor, and we're going to wheel this off. So we take the little bracket off with the 4mm, and then you guys will see this comes right out. So once it's out, this is what's important. We want to make sure that this is completely out of the sensor, just to make sure we don't bang it or anything like that. Then we're going to take our 12mm socket and crack these calipers loose. Now, you don't need to, or you shouldn't have to break the lines for the fluid. If you break the lines of the fluids, or if one of the pistons comes out of the calipers, you're gonna have to bleed the system. The reason is because now you've got air in the system, and if you've got air in the system, you got smushy brakes. So we want a nice, hard, solid brake. So yesterday we did the Gixxer 1000, and the Gixxer actually has R6 brakes, so we actually did these brakes just yesterday on the Gixxer. So we'll go ahead, and what we're going to do is we're just going to pull the caliper right off. Now make sure you don't go into the rim, and it comes right off. I'm going to push the bolts out just so they're not loose, and then your caliper is loose. Now once your caliper is loose, you've got 1 little pin in the middle with the guides. If you rotate the pin around, grab your needle nose, there are 2 little cotter pins right inside. And if you grab these cotter pins, let's grab this GoPro. So you'll see here, we've got these 2 little pins right here. And what we want to do is we want to grab these pins and pull these pins out. So 1 and 2. And then this, your little pin in the middle will just pop right out. Now, this has got these little guards on here. We're actually going to take the guards off. The guards is to kind of keep the brakes tight and from moving around. It's not needed. It makes it a little bit more difficult to put the brakes on and off. And being that we're at the track, we're going to keep these nice and tight. So we are going to take this guard off. But once this pin is out, the guard comes off. So we're just going to remove this. It is not needed. But if you feel more comfortable, you can absolutely put this back on, but we're going to go ahead and remove it. And then our brakes are exposed and the pads come right out. So our pads, now these pads, we've got probably about 50% wear on these pads. So we've got a good amount of life on these, but they are the stock pads and we just felt like we needed a little bit more brake. The master on this isn't the greatest. So we're going to replace these with the new ones. Now that we're back in here, and you'll see you've got the pistons are out. Now, while you've got the pistons out here, what we're going to do, there you go, is we want to get these nice and clean in there. So, I'm going to go ahead and put this back just a teeny bit, and I'm going to kind of wrap this caliper up, grab a little bit of brake clean and spray in there with some brake clean, which most of the dust comes off. I will take my little brush here, and we're just going to brush the edges of these pistons and make sure that they're nice and free of any gook and grime and whatnot. It does a really good job. And then we'll take this towel and just run it slightly around just to make sure we've got most of the debris off here. So now you'll see why we clean them. See, the pistons are nice and clean now. Okay? So I can actually give them one more quick little hit with the scrubber. And that's it. So now we'll take our handy dandy little spreader and we're going to put this right in the middle. Actually, let's go this way. Put this in. Right in the middle. And you can do these with the old brake pads as well, but I found that this works well just like this. And we're going to, once we've got the spreader in there, we're just going to open up the spreader. And this is going to push the piston back into the calipers. So that's perfect. And it pushes them all back in nice and even, so there's not going to be any hang-ups or anything like that. Loosen it back up, and now you can see our pistons are back in place where they should be now. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we'll get our pads opened up, and again we're using the Vortex pads. These are the Sinister Street pads. They're I think they're like one under a superbike pad, so they're not a full race pad. Obviously we're not racing on this thing, but they are just a tad better than a street pad, a normal street pad. It's going to get a little bit more bite. Now obviously the pads go in, pads to the rotor, so they just slide right in and right in. And then we're going to grab our pin. Let me go ahead and clean this pin off real quick. Just a little bit dirty. The better and the cleaner you can get everything, the better, right? I mean, you want to make sure everything is nice and clean and that there's no grease and buildup. That just creates a problem later on in the install. So make sure you've got that done. So we're going to go ahead and slide this back in. Oh, goes right through. And then we're going to grab our little clip, the clip pins, and we slide these right back in. Bink. And special effects needed for the bink. And then we spread the pads out, and we're going to slide this right back on the rotor. This pad didn't cooperate when I put it in. All right, and then we mount it back on, and back go in our bolts. I mean, that's it. We're pretty much done. Go ahead and get the bolts back on, and I will have to look up this torque specification on these. I believe I've got it up over here. So we're going to snug this down. And we can go ahead now and add back in our ABS sensor. So let's see, it goes here. Now, I don't think that the ABS sensor didn't look like it was required to have come out. Again, I'm a better safe than sorry. I've seen people pull these wheels off, and what happens is it pulls off it breaks off that sensor. And when the sensor breaks, the bike basically won't operate. The computer says, nope, we've got a broken sensor. So I say better safe than sorry. So, but let's go ahead and get this thing back in. Super easy. These just snug, and then we'll get them torqued up later to the correct specification. But that's it. We've got our brake pads are swapped. We've got the olds out. We've got the news in. Now, once we get up to the brake lever, we're just going to give this a couple pumps. This is going to start getting our pistons back in. So you should have no lever, basically. It should be going straight down to the bar, and then after about 10 you start to get feel in the lever again. So now we're nice and tight. We can see that we're nice and tight in there. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go over to the other side real quick. I'm going to replace the brakes. We'll take the GoPro over there, do it real quick, and then I'll be right back here. We're over on the other side. Pull this off real quick. Yeah, and this side we don't have an ABS module. It is only on the right hand side, so you've only got to be careful on it on the right hand side. Now this side we do have the two brake lines right here, so it's not going to hinder anything. It doesn't obstruct anything, so we do want to just be aware of that. So we'll pop these out, and the caliper comes off. Put this little bleeder cap off, because we're going to be bleeding later. So we just want to make sure we're careful around this edge, right? So off, and there we are. And then we're going to grab our needle nose, and we've got our pins exposed already. One, and the other one's here. The other one's hidden. Doesn't want to come out. And two, and this should pop up. We gotta push this through. Grab this on the other side. Sorry about my finger there. I'm trying to balance this. Boink! And then out. Our pin. And our brake pads come out. And here's our brake pads. So you can see the wear on it's not that bad. It really is you know, I would say if you're at this, you know, and you can always look, you know, straight down. So the best way to look is shine a flashlight. So if you take a flashlight and you just shine it down here. So if you just shine it right in there, you can see your brake pad life. So right? So you can see there, and then of course here we've got it off, but you'd look right down there. So, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and let's get you a little view here. Get the new pads in. Oh, we gotta get this thing clean first. So, get our towel, get our brake clean, and sprayed, and our brush. And we'll get a nice brush on here. Again, nice and clean on these things. Don't skimp. Take your time. Get them clean, folks. All right. And then we'll just run the towel around the edge of them. Now, if this is your first time doing your brake pads, there's probably not going to be too much dust. It's going to be more dust that will probably just spray off on... brake clean on the inside there. Most of the dust will just spray off, but you just want to give it a nice little quick little wipe. Just make sure everything is nice and clean. And then get our little nifty spreader. God, I love this thing. If you guys do brakes, make sure you get one of these little spreaders. They're so nice because like I said, you know, you start to spread these things with your hand and one goes in and one pops out and one goes too far and one doesn't go far enough. And then next thing you know, you've got one that popped out and it's just like, it's just a pain in the butt. But this is nice because it's nice and popped in now. All right, and then that's it. And now throw in our pads right in the back. And 1 and 2. And of course our pin. We want to get this thing cleaned up. And again, you know, then now the MT's got some miles on it, and not bad for what miles it's got. I think we're at like 9,000 miles. So, throw this back through. All right, so we're getting the pin back in, and then we're going to take our little clip holders, and if we get this rotated just right, and pop those in, and pop them in the other side. And you are golden, so we'll spread the pads apart, and then let's see. So we're going to slide it right on the rotors, and it just sits right on the lip, right, just like that. And so we're going to throw in our bolts on this side. And let's grab our torque specification. From the front caliper is 25 foot-pounds of torque, so we will make sure we get those done, but what we're going to do is just snug this up, and I will torque these in a bit. But let's take you over to the other side, because now what we're going to do is we're just going to walk through a real quick basic bleeding. And the basics of the bleeding and how it's done, a lot of people don't understand. So I like the old school way, how I was taught in automotive. So very, very simple, very, very easy. So let's get these brake pads primed again. Remember, we've got no lever now because the other one is obviously pushed out. So now they're back in. So now I've got lever. And what we're going to do is with the MT is a little bit different because it does spurt a little bit. So you do want to throw a little rag right over the top of it. I've taken the reservoir, I've unscrewed the reservoir already. And we're going to make sure we've got our fluid. So we're going to add this here. And so for this, what we're going to need is just some bleeder line. Okay, I'm not sure the exact, but if you go on Amazon, what this is nice is it's got a little nipple on it, and this slides over the bleeder nipple. So it's a nice basically it's a secure fit. And we're going to take our 8mm. I use a full closed wrench. And then I slide that on first. Then I slide the nipple on. There we go. And we're going to throw this in here. And so what we're going to do is the technique is very, very simple. It is you brake, 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 hold your lever all the way, crack open, and as soon as the lever goes all the way to the bar, close the nut and start pumping again, okay? So we're gonna do this multiple times. So we're gonna pump, pump, hold, open, goes all the way to the bottom, close, pump, pump, hold. Now make sure, remember, make sure we're pump, pump, hold, open, close, pump, pump, hold, open, close, pump, pump, hold, open, close. So we're doing two things right now. We're bleeding the lines, so if there is any air in the lines, we're bleeding the air out of the lines. But by doing that, we're actually flushing the fluid. We're actually going through fluid right now. So we do have to make sure you always keep an eye on the reservoir. Make sure you've always got fluid in the reservoir. Now I can see on the back side here, I can see the leveler. So we'll go ahead and just keep an eye on that right there. So pump, pump, hold, open, and close, pump, pump, hold, open, close, pump, pump, pump. And we're gonna do this for probably 20 times each side. We wanna make sure we get all this fluid pumping through. So once you start to get a rhythm, it's just second nature, right? So this is the old school way. So I used to work on cars when I was younger. My first car was a classic car, and started to spit out finally. And so first car was a classic car, and when I got it, I actually had to learn how to work on it myself because I couldn't afford to fix it. So let's go ahead and get this filled up. So, sorry, you guys will quickly figure out that I am not a multitasker. I can't talk and do something that requires any concentration, so I apologize. But yeah, so I had a 65 Corvair, and my engine, my clutch went out when I was 19, and it was my first car. I got it when I was like 18, and the clutch was put in by a local shop, and they had done a bad job on it. And what ended up happening was I ended up, the clutch ended up going out within a day. And so I met this guy. His name was Wayne Kingston. I don't know if Wayne's around. He was named the king of Corvairs. I met him and I told him I didn't have any money to fix my car, but he told me, I will let you work on the car here at my garage, and I will even give you the parts, but you're going to work on your own car. And it was just, Wayne, thank you. And bless him, I don't believe he's around because he was 70-something years old, and that was 22 years old, 22 years. But if he's around, Wayne, thank you, Wayne Kingston. But anyways, so I learned how to work on cars. So when I started working on cars, the same concept. When you're bleeding brakes in the car, you push the button, hold the brake pedal, someone else opens the bleeder, it goes all the way to the floor, they close the bleeder, then you pump it again. Same thing with the bikes, right? So pump, 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 open, close, pump, 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 open, close. Now all the while, I'm watching the fluid level drop up here in the master. So we're already at another one. So we're getting fluid through the line, and that's the goal here when we're flushing the system, right? If you're just trying to get the air out of the system, you don't necessarily have to, we would be done by now. There's absolutely no air in the lines. And you can see what's nice about this line is you can actually see if there's air bubbles in the line, which there isn't. But like I said, we're flushing the fluid, so we've got to keep going through and keep getting the fluid through the line. So we're going to go through one more reservoir, then I'm going to shoot to the other side, which is a little bit more difficult because, of course, the brake lever's over here. But we'll get it done. And so we're going to brake, hold, open, close, brake, 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 open, close, brake, 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 open, close. And I'm going to go through one more reservoir here. So I'm just watching the reservoir here. And man, the lever, oh, Pogman's going to love this. The brakes are so incredibly nice right now. I can feel the difference on how stiff they are. Now, we've not done anything with the brakes since we've got the bike. And I think the bike's got 7,000 or 9,000. I know it's a big difference, but I apologize. I don't quite know. Real quick, sorry. We're going to pull the line off. Make sure when you pull the line off, you've got a towel because this is going to leak. So we're going to drain this out. And we can see... Oh, she's loose, she's loose! So we can see that we've already got some dirty fluid in there. So we definitely want to keep on this on the other side. Let's bring the GoPro over here so I don't bore you guys. And what's going to be fun here is the brake hold on this side because brake levers on that side. So I've got to reach, brake, brake, hold, open, brake, brake, brake. And let's fill that reservoir again real quick because we're getting low again. So I'll go through a couple more reservoirs over here on that side. And the reason why I put the towel over there, so you guys know, is when you grab the lever, it spurts up. So to keep the brake fluid in, and if you get brake fluid on your paint, get it off immediately. Don't let brake fluid sit anywhere. It will stain. It will stain. It will stain. So, all right. So, brake, 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 open. Brake, 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 open. So we got a little bit of. We're getting a little bit of air over here. Nothing major, but I can see like when I first opened it up, we had a little bit of air pockets coming out. Man, this is starting to feel really good. All right, let's just double check the fluid. Not too much. Back on this side. Bogman's like, what are you guys doing? I'm going back and forth. All right, and one last reservoir. Pump, 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 hold, open, close, pump, 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 hold, open, close, pump, 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 hold, open, close. It's just a rhythm. You start to get the rhythm down. And that's it. I like it. I like what I've done. I like what I've done. Go ahead and leave this on this towel over here. Let's take you over to the other side real quick. Actually, let's go ahead and get this just buttoned up. Our little bleeder cap. Make sure you get your bleeder caps back on. And that's it. We're all done. We have replaced the brakes. We've bled the lines, and we've done a fluid exchange. So now what we're going to do is just make sure, and you can see, so you see why we put the towel up there, because it's, so let's go ahead and make sure we're just topped off, not too much. I didn't go through too much on that side. That line was just the crossover line, so really, we were kind of pulling the fluid through that line anyway, so it was pretty easy to get to the point that we were at. So I'm just going to do a quick little wipe down there. And our lid on our master goes on here. Screw this down. And you guys are good to go. That's it. All right, So I think we're at 30, just under 30 minutes, and we've completely replaced, bled the lines, and did a full fluid replacement in the system. So it's that easy, guys. It's not that bad. So MT09, R6. Anybody with R6 calipers, if you've got a Gixxer 1000 with R6 calipers, it's the same exact thing. I just went through this yesterday. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions, hit the comment down below. If you want to see us work on anything in front of video for any of the collection, make sure you hit a comment down below. But make sure you hit that smash that like button. But the important part is hit that subscribe button, folks. Keeping you guys around, it's important to us. We want to make sure you guys enjoy our videos. So hit the subscribe button. We'll see you next video. Thanks, guys.